everyone, Elsie Jensen here. Today we are going to make some pizza oven pizzas. Just a bunch of a variety of bougie pizzas. We're gonna do a barbecue chicken, our classic sausage one. I've got some fig jam and some figs to do kind of a monchego cheese and fig one. So lots of bougie deliciousness. But let's start by getting our chicken seasoned up so that we can throw this on the grill. I've got 2 chicken breasts in here that I've filleted in half, and we're just gonna put a good drizzle of Worcestershire sauce in here. That's gonna help keep them nice and juicy and delicious. And then we're gonna add in some Mrs. Dash's Everything Blend. Keeping it simple here, about a tablespoon of that. Here we go. And where is my precious garlic salt? Never leave home without it. And we'll put a good sprinkle of garlic salt in here. And then I'm just going to seal up my bag, squeeze out some air, and we'll just mix it around and kind of coat up our chicken. And we'll just let this sit for a hot second, and then when we're ready to pop it on the grill over there, we can. But we're going to grill them up, and then we'll place them on our pizzas for our barbecue chicken pizza, which is one of my favorite pizzas. Okay, let's get our veggies prepped that we're going to saute up. So we'll be sauteing our sausage up on our little cooktop over there. But we are also going to saute up some onions, peppers, mushrooms. So keeping it kind of simple. Get these in here. And then we'll also prep up, I'm just going to prep up a cheese bread to put in the oven right away so that can cook while we're working on our next one. So since I'm going to do my onions nice, long, and stringy, because I just feel like the nice, long, stringy onions are just better on a pizza. I don't really think cutting it in a certain shape can really change the flavor, but in my mind it does. So nice, long, stringy, caramelized onions. And then I've got sweet peppers here that we're going to slice up and saute as well. And then, of course, our mushrooms. Now, if for the peppers, we're going to put these on our barbecue chicken pizza, as well as I'm just going to do like a sausage and veggie pizza, which is one of my favorites. And we do have pepperoni for the boring people in my family, aka my husband. Gets the plain Jane ones. But again, we have just lots of different pizzas here today. It's a little pizza fest because tomorrow is Jackie's birthday, and so pizzas are one of his favorite foods, so he gets to have delicious pizzas now. And tomorrow I'm thinking of making spaghetti and meatballs, which is another one of his favorite meals. So he's going to get all of his favorite foods because tomorrow he's 2. Although he acts like it already. And for our peppers, I have them long and stringy, although I think I'm actually going to dice them up afterwards because they'll taste better diced. Oh, let me grab that top off. And just a couple little things. We're going to saute these up first. I'm a big fan of our vegetables being sauteed before we put them on our pizzas. They just taste better, just like with omelets. It gets out some of that bitterness, gives a better flavor, better altogether for it. Okay, we'll put this right here. Let's prep our first cheese bread to kind of go on so that when we come over there to start putting all of this stuff on, we can throw this guy on our oven as well. So we're going to start out by putting a good kind of coating of flour on our things. And this is really just so that I can kind of pull it off. And then I'm going to pull out a nice ball of my dough. This is a sourdough pizza crust. And I used some bougie 00 flour from Italy. I bought like this 11-pound bag of it like a month or so ago, and it makes the best pizzas. It's just better. I used the same recipe as before, but they taste better. And we're just going to kind of stretch it out to where we've got a good things. You don't need to roll it out or whatnot. Just a good pull and stretch works for this. Here we go. And I like to leave my edges just a little bit thicker than the inside of my pizza, and that's simply so that I got a good crust. And then we just got to make sure we've got a good slide, because once we put some stuff on here, if there's not enough of a slide, I'm never going to be able to get it off. Okay, for our good old cheese bread, which is just my simple, we're going to throw on a little bit of butter. Let's get a butter knife over here. And then we're going to put some garlic salt down, some mozzarella cheese and Parmesan cheese. And then I have some Herbs Special Pizza. It's like the same things as the Herbs de Provence. But it's just kind of your basic Italian seasoning, but it's really delicious. So just a couple little bits of butter on here so that when it melts up, it will be delicious. We're going to sprinkle with a little bit of garlic salt. Here's my Herbs Special Pizza. Italian seasoning is another way to say it. And then we're going to use a mixture of mozzarella cheese. And I love the whole milk mozzarella. I think it just gives a nice, it's more cheesy, it's more delicious. Here we go. And it works better in the pizza ovens that are high heat. I find if you use kind of the part skim or the skim milk like cheese, it burns really easily. And then we're going to put some Parmesan cheese on here as well. So we've got our delicious cheesy bread. First one to kind of go in.
You have a question. Do you bake cakes for your kid's birthday or their favorite dessert?
I do bake cakes for them. Tonight I'm going to do a late night and we're going to do a cake decorating. And so I'm going to decorate Jackie's cake. I have baked the base of it and I did a chocolate sourdough cake, which is really delicious. The batter was really delicious. Where's my garlic salt? So yes, I do. I always like to do kind of a fun theme, what they're interested in or what they want. So he's going to have kind of this monster school bus truck cake there, which will be awesome. But let's go pop this on. Then we are going to put our veggies on and our meat. So I'm going to take this guy off and we'll get this first one in and we'll have it start to cook. There we go. Now I'm going to keep my eye on it. These cook up pretty fast on here. And let's bring our veggies, our sausage over here. And we'll get our chicken to throw these on our grill. So that's going to go on our grill. We're going to have this on. So I have my little cooktop heating up here over a medium heat so it's nice and hot. We're going to throw on some butter, which should start to melt right away. Beautiful. Let me grab my tongs too while I'm over here. And I'm just going to spread the butter, coat the whole thing off. That way we have a nice buttered surface on here. And then we can start throwing on our veggies and our peppers and then our sausage. So I've got my lovely sweet onions here, my yellow onions. Kind of coat them up in that butter. Put a little bit over here. We're going to do our peppers up here since they won't need quite as much heat. And we're going to do our sausage over here and then we'll add our mushrooms on in just a second. So I'm just using a mild Italian sausage here for this, and we'll pop it on there and then let it break up. Here we go. If it wants to come off for me. Peel this part off. Beautiful. And then I'm just going to kind of chop it apart into some nice chunks here. And it will start to cook up, and we'll break it up as we go and we cook it. But this is going to be for our little sausage pizzas. And then I'm just going to, let me grab, we're going to check our pizza here and twist it, but I'm going to grab a little plate over here to rest my tong on. And then let's rotate our pizza. Now I always find we have a flame on just this side of our pizza oven, which means that side gets a little bit more toasty than the other. But you just do a little rotation pop it in there. And then that should be ready in about a minute or so. But let's get our chicken on our big grill here and grill off our chicken. This is going to be for our yummy barbecue chicken pizzas, which again is one of my favorite pizzas. I just love it. And I'm thinking about when I do my fig one, which I'm going to do with some fig jelly, fresh figs, manchego cheese. I think I might throw on some of this chicken as well. But this is just 2 chicken breasts that we filleted in half so they're not super thick. And then we are going to, we season them up with Worcestershire and a little bit of Mrs. Dash's table blend. I'm spreading them out here. And I'm going to turn my grill down to about a medium low, and so that it doesn't cook too fast or too high. Okay. Let's give this a quick, and then we're going to pull out our first cheesy bread because it looks just about ready. So we're going to give this a good smash up as it starts to break apart. Here we go. Okay. Let me take a look at this guy. Look how beautiful our first cheesy bread is. They cook up pretty fast and are delicious. So we're going to slide this off on our little plate here. And then we can start working on our next one, which I will do for the kids, for the little ones, just a classic cheese pizza. Always do that. That makes them kind of happy. That's their favorite for the little ones. Here we go. So we're going to start with our sourdough crust here. And we just kind of do a little pinch and pull as you go. Don't pull it too hard or you'll rip it, although luckily it's pretty malleable, so you can kind of pinch it back together. And I have to say, I used to always do a yeast dough pizza crust. And then it wasn't until like a year ago I started making sourdough pizza crust. And I have to say, it is much better than the yeast one. The dough is much easier to work with, and the flavor is just wonderful. So we're going to put a nice kind of coating down. And then I always just like to spin it that way. And then I test my shake. Got to get the slide going. And then we're just going to do a basic cheese pizza here. So I've got my favorite marinara sauce or pizza sauce, which is the good old Raos, but use any one you like. I feel like I discovered this brand like 2 years ago, and I absolutely love their marinara as well as their pizza sauce, their vodka sauce. They're all just really good. And I think it's because they're not overly sweet pasta sauces, which I find a lot of store-bought have a lot of added sugar in it. Let's put our mozzarella on. And then my kids they've been telling me that their favorite thing on the cheese bread is the garlic salt that you sprinkle over the top. So I'm going to sprinkle a little garlic salt on the top of their cheese pizza as well, because that's what they've been loving about the cheese bread. They keep saying, the cheese bread is my favorite. The cheese bread is my favorite, which is good. But I'm going to see if they'll like this with a little bit of garlic salt as well. Okay, we're going to bring this over to pop this in our pizza oven, and then we'll check on all of our veggies that we have sauteing over there on here. So, again, we'll put it in. And it is a good workout because you got to really do these very little shakes back and forth to get it to slide off on there. The first time I started making pizzas in the pizza oven about a year or so ago, I failed miserable at it. We had a lot of calzones because they would flip over until I found worked out. And I used to have to do really small pizzas because I couldn't do a big one. But I've gotten better. I've improved with time on there. You know, you learn a couple tricks of the trade. You know, it's different. At home, I have this mini pizza oven that I can do on my countertop, but I can do my pizzas on parchment paper there, which makes it transferring a lot easier. Okay. These are looking good. Let's check. Well, we can just use these all because they're all going to get cooked up. We're going to coat our onions around. You can see we're starting to get this nice kind of golden color on it for a nice caramelization. We want them to get all golden so that they get rid of their astringent flavor and just have that sweet onion flavor left. And then we're going to do up our peppers here. Wonderful. Now with our peppers, we're not going to necessarily cook them all the way to like a tender because they will cook up in the oven a little bit, but we don't need to cook them up. Let's check on our chicken, see if it's ready to flip. We did fillet them in half, so they're going to cook up fairly quickly. Here we go.
You got a question? Where can people find the recipe?
So for our video, our live streams, we do upload all of our videos to the link on our page. And you know, I think I'm going to have to make a recipe card for my pizza dough because I have not actually done that one on camera because it's a dough that you make and then you let it sit for a couple of hours to kind of do that natural rising. So I might have to do a recipe card for that for our members or at least do it on video screen sometime. I'm going to do my little rotation. You see how we got that nice little crispy edge there? Slide that in there. And while we'll wait for that one, we can start prepping up our mushrooms because we need to add our mushrooms over there to start sauteing as well. Mushrooms on pizza are one of my favorites. I love a good sauteed up mushroom. So we're going to slice these up and then we'll saute them. Got to saute them to get that great flavor out of them. Otherwise, with the pizza oven, your pizzas cook so fast that the mushrooms would still be almost raw if you were to not pre-cook them. This way we'll get a good nice saute on them and they'll just be absolutely lovely. Okay, we're gonna go grab our cheese pizza out of the oven here. Let's get these last ones chopped up and then we'll grab that and pop those on.
You have a question? Are there covers for all the outdoor appliances?
There are. And I will say that is essential for it because otherwise you'd be doing so much cleaning. Look at this beautiful cheese pizza. Got the perfect bubble on it. We sprinkled a little bit of garlic salt on it. We have our marinara and then our sourdough crust. Slide this right next to our cheesy bread and we're going to add our mushrooms onto our things and we'll give our veggies a quick little mix up. I'm going to add a little bit of butter on here. Here we go. And I'm going to put some of this butter over here with our onions as well, but I want to have some butter for our mushrooms as well. Here we go. Because you got to have a nice little deliciousness. And when I have just a smidge left, we're going to throw this over here in our onions. We're going to add our mushrooms. I'm going to push my sausage over here. Give those a little stir. Let's get our mushrooms on. Beautiful. We're going to coat these guys up with that butter that we sauteed, or melted, I should say. Can't really saute a butter. There we go. And then I'm going to break up our sausage. And we just about have this guy almost cooked through. They're just about there. Here we go. And then, whoop, over here. Just coat these onions up. Beautiful. And then we're going to go check on our chicken because our chicken is probably just about ready to come off. I'm going to slide these.
What kind of sausage?
So this is just a mild Italian sausage. Now you could really do any sausage that you want on here for it, but I like the mild Italian sausage. Okay, we've got our chicken here. It's looking pretty good. So we're going to take these guys off. And then we'll let them sit for a few seconds before we chop them up so that they can have their natural juices kind of sit in there. But I'm going to turn off my whole grill here since we're done over here. And we'll have this ready to pop on there. But while we're waiting, let's make our next one. We're going to do a pepperoni pizza. Get the plain Jane pizzas out of the way. And then we'll start making our bougie ones since all of our sides will be cooked up then. So let's start. Put a nice little kind of coating on here. And again, this is just really essential for sliding that off. Otherwise, your dough can kind of stick to it. I'm just going to grab a nice little ball.
You've got a lot of comments that you can use cornmeal.
Yes, I know you can use the cornmeal with it. And I've done a cornmeal bit before, but sometimes it gets a little bit gritty on the bottom of it. I don't mind the flour so much because it doesn't ever stick to the bottom of the pizza, so you don't notice it. The cornmeal one has worked a little times. Sometimes my kids say they don't like that texture on it. It's the same thing with like an English muffin, which are delicious. I keep saying, I'm like, I need to make English muffins again. Sidetrack. But I know there is things. There's also like you can use another like an even finer type of flour. I actually saw this tool. It was like last year. It was all over like, all those the stream whatnot. But it's like one of these pizza things that you go choot choot and it slides it right off. I'm like, that's what I need to get because then you don't have to do the shaky shake. Here we go.
Here's a good question for you. How do you handle being a mother of 5 and still cooking all these amazing meals?
Yeah, insanity, chaos, craziness. You know what? It's actually not as challenging. Once, I feel like cooking is very natural, comes easy for me. And then with like our kids, we just kind of have like, our like rules that if I'm cooking in the kitchen, our rules are like, you can't come into the kitchen. And it's more about being like safe and stuff like that. Because with the little ones, I will tell you, I can't see anything that's below me. And have you noticed I've stepped on my dog a couple of times in there, but they actually are really good about like respecting like, times when we have to do things and boundaries and whatnot, which makes it manageable and doable. I think the biggest thing that has really like helped was understanding that our kids' schedule we have with the sports and everything means that we don't eat at the most typical times as other things, but we eat what works well for our family. And I think changing that and not trying to eat in the normal times has made it to where we can have great home cooked meals. We just eat a little bit later. And that just works really well with our family because otherwise then there's no time for me to cook because when my kids get home from school, at like 4:30 to almost 7:30 at night, we are out doing sports. Okay, we're going to do our pepperoni pizza here. I like to do my layers of pepperoni under and on top. So you get pepperoni in every bite. I think there's the Shackalicious pizza out there. This is like the Shackalicious, but it's even better because it's homemade. Okay, let's pop this cheese on. Let's open up our next one. And then we'll get this cooking. And I think we should be able to pull off some of our next veggies for our next sets of pizzas. Here we go. And now I always say with a pepperoni pizza, you don't want to do the cheese quite as thick as if you do with a regular cheese pizza because otherwise it becomes very, very thick.
Question, do you have a dream restaurant you'd like to go eat at?
I don't know. I've gone to a lot of restaurants and whatnot. I don't know if it's necessarily like a dream restaurant or just like go to Europe and eat again. I was able to go to Europe a lot when I was a kid because my family's from there and whatnot. And so just being in a different like culture, different foods is so nice and delicious. But I don't know if there's any ones. I mean, lovely like living outside kind of a big city. We're outside of Nashville. We have an option like a lot of great restaurants here. I don't know. I mean, I've been to like Gordon Ramsay's restaurant. I've been to an Emerald restaurant. I've been to a lot of them. So, I've had the chances to eat at a lot of great restaurants. So I don't know if there's anyone that I would say okay, actually I can think of one. And this is kind of cheesy, but they've kind of come here. It's this immersion experience and it's called Le Petit. and they do like a video show on your plate, on your table, that does like a story with food that makes along the story. So it's more of an experience, but it's like a bougie French food. So I will say that might be something I want to do. I'm going to grab a little bit of garlic salt to toss on these, and then we'll start taking off our veggies to decorate our pizzas with. And you got to season them up a little bit. Here we go. And just toss these.
What's your favorite food?
My favorite food, I mean, I would have to say pasta is like, it's a whole genre in it's of itself, but I absolutely love pasta. One of my favorites, but I don't know if I have like a individual food that I just love. Oops, losing a little bit behind the back. There we go. Let's get our sausage off, and then we're going to rotate our pizza here in just a second.
Could you make the viral lasagna too?
Oh yeah, you know, I saw that and I actually thought it looked really delicious. So I actually will definitely try that out. I'll have to look at it, but it does look really good. I always get like inspiration on the meals that I'm gonna cook. I'll like watch, you know, something and I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna make that. Here we go. So we've got our onions and our sausage off. I'm gonna put this over here, and then we're gonna rotate our pizza. And then we will grab our mushrooms and our peppers off. But give it.
Designed the outdoor kitchen.
I designed it. So this is not my outdoor kitchen, it's my parents, but I designed it for them. And it is, I will say, it is one of your envious of your dreams, because you've got the really big green egg, then you've got this giant grill that has rotisserie on it. I've done rotisserie chickens, the cooktop, the pizza oven, and then a huge amount of workspace. So it is a wonderful outdoor kitchen. And I just kind of designed it on how I would want like my working space in my kitchen to be, and I love it. I actually had a lot of fun. So like my kitchen at home, I also designed that like 2 years ago when we remodeled, and I love it. I like the nice big open floor spaces behind, but still having like an island or a thing, you know, like a peninsula, but having a huge walkway, not the standard 4 feet, but like the 6 to 8 feet has been wonderful. Okay, let's grab this pizza out. Beautiful. Look at that gorgeous, the nice bubbly cheese on there. Perfect. Say they are all cooking up wonderful tonight. Let's get our next one over here. And now we have a lot of bougie ingredients that we can do all of our fun stuff for. Ooh, while I do that, I realize I left this on. So let me turn these off. Oop. Here we go. And lights off. The nice thing about these grills is when you turn off the lights to them, the power source turns off. So they're really nice. Okay. Let's make this one. This one, I think we're going to do we'll do our sausage, mushroom, onion, my traditional favorite one. Then we'll do our barbecue chicken. But we'll have lots of delicious pizzas here. I bought some fig jam today and some fresh figs. I have a fig tree at home, and I have probably 30 figs, but I don't think they're going to be ready to pick for another month. So I was like, I'm not going to just keep waiting for them. We'll get a head start because I love fresh figs. Okay, we're going to stretch our dough out. I'm going to make sure I've got a good slide. There we go. And then we'll do, this one will be our basic sausage, mushroom, peppers, and onions. And then we'll do our barbecue chicken, and then we'll do our fig one. Here we go. So nice little thing. Make sure when you put your marinara sauce on, don't put too much marinara, because you will get shoe fly. Like it will turn into like a soup base in the middle there. Okay, so we've got our caramelized onions. We've got our sausage. Here we go. Also find that if you overload your pizzas too much, it gets really, really hard to shake them off without the stuff falling off too. We've got our mushrooms, and then we've got some peppers. So this is my favorite basic pizza, I always say. This combination of mushrooms, onions, peppers, and sausage is just delish. We'll put our nice big chunk of cheese on here. Beautiful. And then we'll slide this one off into the oven. And then we're going to prep up for our barbecue chicken pizza. So we got to chop up our chicken for that. And then we'll prep up our figs for that one. And then we'll slide this here. There we go. So I've got it cooking there. I find cooking it farther this way allows it to cook a little bit more evenly and slowly than if you put it super close to the flame. Okay. Let's get our chicken chopped up here for our pizzas. This is also just great chicken to eat. It has just delicious. So always when you take it off the grill, don't chop it up right away because then it will just leak out all of its natural juices and become more dry, and we don't want that. Now, I always like...
How do you have to clean the pizza stone?
The pizza stone is actually really, really easy to clean. It's such a high heat that it burns off everything. And so all you have to do afterwards is just kind of sweep it out. And it doesn't even have that much ash in there. But even after you turn it off, that pizza stone is at like 600 degrees, 700 degrees Fahrenheit. So it just burns away everything. So it's really easy to clean. And they have when you buy it, you get an extra set of stones. So if you ever need to do a deep clean out, you can scrub them and then let them dry and just put in your backup stones. Okay, got our chicken here. We're gonna put it back in here with some of those delicious chicken juices to keep them nice and moist. But beautiful. Put that on there. Excellent. So we have that. Just keeping my eye on my pizzas there. And while we wait, let's see, we've got that there. Let's prep our, we're having a little salad with dinner tonight, but not like a lettuce salad. We're going to have a caprese salad. So tomato, mozzarella, and fresh basil. So we'll get that prepped right now on here. So I've got my tomatoes. We're going to cut them up. And then we'll layer on some fresh mozzarella on here, as well as some fresh basil. Get that going around. This is one of my favorite salads too for it. And then let's go flip our pizza, and we're gonna move it to the side. I'll bring it out and show it to you guys. So we're partially cooked here, so we're gonna rotate it, and then I'll put the nice toastier part towards the back, and we'll let this cook for another minute or so. Now, the trick when you are using a pizza oven, you don't want to leave your crust super thick if you're going to do the high heat cooking. Now, you can turn it down and cook lower and then do a one there. But if you cook it on the high heat, which gives you that nice crisp crust with the chewy center, if you make your crust too thick, it will be doughy in there. Okay, we've got our first kind of layer of tomatoes here. And I'm going to take my balsamic, just a little bit of my balsamic glaze, and we'll do a little drizzle over here of our first one. And where did my garlic salt go? We'll do a good shake off of garlic salt right here. I always like to season up the tomatoes just a pinch to add a bit more flavor in here. And then let me grab my basil. But it looks like my pizza is ready to come off. So I'm going to grab it. We'll bring it over here, and we can prep our next one, and then we'll finish up our salad. Beautiful. So we have our wonderful pizza right here. This is our sausage, mushroom, onions, and pepper on our sourdough crust. It looks amazing. Let's make our barbecue chicken pizza now. which
So
is
what kind of pizza oven is that?
that is an Alpha, which is an Italian pizza oven. Funny thing here, guys, the first time I used it, so because, you know, in America, we're so used to Fahrenheit that I was looking at the temperature scale and thinking the Celsius was the Fahrenheit scale. And the first couple of times I couldn't understand why I was burning everything. I'm like, it's not even that high. But, you know, 500 degrees Celsius is a lot hotter than 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Um, but I did realize my error, my way, and it was just me making assumptions about which temperature scale was listed first on there. But it is a really great pizza oven. It's really nice. You can take off the little chute at the top when you're like when you put the cover on it, so you don't have like this giant thing sticking out. And the bricks inside come out really easy too. So it's pretty easy to clean and maintain. Now this one is hooked up to, like, we got natural gas to go to all of these, but you can also hook up to a propane tank. Okay, we've got ours. Here we go. Perfect. And now for my barbecue chicken pizza, this is such a simple pizza, but it is so delicious. We use barbecue sauce, so I'm using my favorite, which is the hickory brown sugar by Sweet Baby Ray's, because I like a nice sweet barbecue sauce. So we're gonna put a nice little layer down. I'm gonna use my spoon to spread this. Here we go. And then pop this right here. We're gonna put on our chicken. And then you're going to do caramelized onions. There we go. And then I'm going to put on some red peppers or sweet peppers here. If you like a little kick of heat, you could add in some jalapenos, but I'm not a big heat person. And then we're going to sprinkle a little bit of cheese over the top. Now, I'm just using mozzarella for the sake that I have mozzarella, but a Kobe Jack works really great with this. Or if you can get the quesadilla cheese, works well for it.
You have a question? Do you ever cook any German dishes?
I do. I actually just cooked a couple German dishes. The other day we made, I did pretzels with Weisswurst, Knockwurst, and bratwurst with a hot German potato salad in there. We did kind of like an Oktoberfest dish there. So we've got that in there cooking. I also have just like a couple other dishes, like a German pot roast or the Spätzle. I do like a Wiener Schnitzel in there. I actually lived in Germany for a while. I did a foreign exchange there when I was a kid. And so I love the food. My aunts and uncles and my grandmother all live in Germany. So, although they're not German, but they all live there. So I do a lot of that, some German baking as well. So yes, I love it. I will say their food is delicious. It's homey. It's not the most like beautiful food in the sense of it. Like they're basic. It's more about comfort. And I really like that, especially in like the winter time and dishes. One of my favorite meals, though, my foreign exchange student mother would always make for us, but she would make goulash, this version of goulash with Spätzle, which is a type of pasta. And so good. It was one of my favorite dishes. Okay, we've got our fresh basil on here. We're going to put on our mozzarella on it. Here we go. A nice good chunk on each one. And then I always do mine double layered. So we'll put another layer of tomatoes, mozzarella, and basil on here. But here we go. Beautiful. But between our layers, before we add on to our next things, we're going to drizzle it with a little bit of balsamic glaze.
You have a question? Do you have the pizza dough recipe posted?
I do not, but I think I will make it a recipe card this week for my members, and maybe I'll make a short little video or something for everyone, because this is one I always make off screen because I make it several hours beforehand. But it is delicious. Let's see. We'll rotate that in just a second. Let me grab 2 more tomatoes off from here and get this first layer at least on there. Here we go. Layer this up. Now, my daughter who loves tomatoes, she always take this dish and she eats just the tomatoes for it. We're going to get these on here. I'm going to actually go rotate our pizza first. Give it a good slide. Beautiful. So we have this, and then I'm going to just rotate it around, and we'll put this next side there, toast it up, make it perfect. It's about a minute longer. But the nice thing is you can have fresh homemade pizzas in no time at all, which is just so lovely about it. And nothing beats a pizza oven pizza. It is better than, any fast food pizza that you can get on there. I've like converted all of my kids too. They love it as well. Okay, let's get these few more basil leaves on there. I was thinking about doing a pizza margherita, but we did that last time. So I was like, we'll change it up. We'll just do the salad. Here we go. Pop on here, especially because it's not going to be that much longer in season where I can get lots of fresh basil from the store. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to go grab our pizza out, then we can work on our next one. Beautiful. Here is our barbecue chicken pizza with barbecue sauce, chicken, caramelized onions, sauteed peppers, and mozzarella cheese. So delicious. Okay. Get that on here. And okay, we'll stretch this one out. This is going to be my one that I'm going to use some manchego cheese, which is a Spanish cheese, and some fig jelly and some fresh figs on it. And I think I'll throw in a couple pieces of chicken as well. But it will be a sweet and savory. So let's stretch this guy out. Here we go. And I will say this dough, the nice thing about it is this dough, the longer you let it sit, the more sourdough tasting that you have, but it's something that you could also use within an hour or 2 hours of making it. So you don't have to do super long. Here we go. So I've got this one. We'll do our nice little shaky shake. And then let me grab. So here's my little fig jam that I got. If I'm assuming I can open this guy. There we go. And then let me grab my fresh figs on here and my manchego cheese. So we're going to put a nice on here. Now this has got your sweet and your savory with it. So we're going to spread it out. Fig jam is just lovely and delicious. You don't want to make it too thick. So just a nice kind of spread it thin all the way around. Beautiful. I'll get a little bit more. Beautiful. And then I'm going to put a couple pieces of our chicken on here as well. So you've got a little bit of that sweetness with it.
Question, is that cheese a sharp cheese?
It is a firm type cheese, but its flavor is a little bit more like a mixture between Swiss and Parmesan cheese. As I say, it's not going to have the cheddar cheese flavors to it. It's kind of a semi-firm cheese. It's lovely. It's a Spanish cheese. It pairs really well with fruits, I will say. On here. There we go. And I'm just going to take off this kind of top layer. That's kind of the wax part. I'll pull this. And then I'm just going to kind of grate it over this. But it's got more of a simpler note to it. I feel like cheddar cheese has that sharp cheddar cheese flavor, has a lot of, flavor to it. This is a little bit more mellow, but it pairs really well with like the sweet and the savories. Okay, let's put this around. Maybe a few more slices of it. Beautiful. And then I'll put that over here. I've got my fresh figs, which are, if you've never had a fresh fig, they are delicious on here. So we're going to just kind of pick off the little seeds. And I will say they're a really beautiful fruit.
Question, where did you get the cheese slicer?
That is actually a Swedish cheese slicer that my mom got for me, so I'm not sure where she got it, but it does work really well. Let's pop this guy in the oven to kind of cook up. We'll finish up our stuff here. Here we go. So let's finish up right here, and let's put our last little bit of our mozzarella cheese on here. Here we go. I'm always like, do I have enough cheeses to cover every one, or is my top layer gonna have to share one? We'll have to have a couple share. Almost made it through. Here we go. And we'll take our big ones. And then to finish it off, we're gonna drizzle it with, again, a little bit more of our balsamic glaze. And then a little sprinkle of garlic salt, just to give you a little bit of a savoriness to it. Not much, but we have our lovely thing there. Okay, so we'll put this over there, and we've got enough to make 2 more pizzas, though I'll probably just make a cheese bread at the end, so I won't keep you guys on for that one. But we can start prepping up 1 more specialty pizza for this. And then we'll have to bid you guys adieu. Here we go. So I'm going to work on stretching this out so that when we take this next guy off, we'll be ready. We'll do our little rotation there. We've got some hungry kiddos who are eagerly looking at the pizzas from the pool. I think they're ready for it. We're actually doing a slightly different mealtime today. My kids were like, is this lunch? And I was like, no, we're going to do a really early dinner, but we'll do snacks later. Because every time we do an early dinner, they always are like, wait, was that lunch? Or that wasn't dinner? Okay, I'm going to hold.
Can you go over how you made the dough, and can you cook it in a regular oven?
Yes, let me rotate this first, and then we'll do that. So here is our beautiful. I'm going to just do our little twist around. But you can see that fig butter. It's just delicious. Okay, so this dough, I made it with 2 cups of sourdough discard. And then I added in 1.5 cups of warm water, about a tablespoon of honey, and a tablespoon of salt, and then a 1/4 cup of a little less than a 1/4 cup of 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And then it's 5 cups of our Italian 00 flour. You can use regular bread flour as well, or all-purpose flour. Both of those work really well for it. And then you knead it all together until, it forms a really good kind of base. And so it's just delicious. I'm going to slide this on here. I'm going to pop this in on that side, and then we'll kind of rotate it. Although, you know what? That actually looks like I'm done. So I'm going to pull it off first before. That way we don't have to mess with it. Look at this. Beautiful. You see that in the manchego cheese, the chicken, that fig jelly, and those fresh figs. They're looking gorgeous. We'll slide it right over here next to our pepperoni pizza. There we go. And let's put this one on here. And for this one, we'll do kind of a meat lover's pizza on it. So I'm going to just stretch it out because he's going to be a slightly bigger. Make sure we got it. But we'll do, oh, gotta forget our marinara sauce. We'll do our marinara. Kind of spread it all the way around. There we go. And then I'm going to do some of my sauteed chicken, or my grilled chicken, not sauteed. We're going to do some Italian sausage. And let's grab a little bit of pepperoni. And as I said, meat lovers. So we've got our 3 different types of meat on it. We'll pop it on there with our cheese. And then we will be able to, kind of send you guys off here in just a second.
Oh, what sauce do you use for your pizza?
So I really like the Rayo's pizza sauce. It works really, really well. It's not super sweet and it's not too liquidy on there. As you see, it kind of spreads out really nicely for it. But I absolutely love it. Put our cheese on. Yeah, there we go. Now this one will be a little bit more tricky to slide off because I always say try to avoid doing the super, super heavy ones, but you just have to be consistent with the shakes.
And can you use this dough in a regular oven? And so how do you cook it?
Yes. So you can definitely use this in a regular oven. Now my trick is if you for a regular oven, if you have a pizza stone, which is literally like the stones that they have in there, but you can put them in your oven, pop that in there, preheat your oven to 450 or 500 if you can, and have that heating up in there so it's nice and hot, and then transfer your pizza on it and cook it there. If you don't have a pizza stone, you can definitely do it in your oven on a baking sheet on there, prep it, put it in there. You'll want to cook it at about 450, so it's nice and high. But what you can do is so your cheese doesn't get burned, so your crust cooks all the way through. After about cooking it for 5 or 6 minutes, if you drape a little bit of aluminum foil over the top, it will keep the cheese from getting toasty and burned. But we can work on it. But I think we have our last one going there. But I want to say, I think we're about done with everything. So I might send you guys off in just a second. We'll let the flip over there. But I can work on prepping up my last one here for our kids. This one, let me get a little bit of this cheese off for it. I'm deciding what I should do for my last ones, whether I should do a cheesy bread or a regular cheese pizza for it. The kids love that, or do something bougie for it. Okay. I'm going to go grab there. We'll rotate our pizza. I'll show you guys a quick things, and then we'll kind of go through and we'll do it. Look at it. So we've got this nice bubbly edge in here. So I'm going to rotate it and then we'll pop it in there. Here we go. Beautiful. Okay. Let's go through. Let me grab my little salad over here. But we have our caprese salad with tomatoes, fresh mozzarella, and fresh basil and a glaze on it. Then we have our fig jelly, manchego cheese, chicken, and fresh fig. Our pepperoni pizza with deli pepperoni and cheese. A cheese pizza, gotta have it for the classic with the kids. A nice, delicious cheese bread with garlic, salt, and some pizza thing. This is our sausage, mushroom, pepperoni, onion bread. And then my last one, definitely my favorite, is my barbecue chicken with cheese, onions, caramelized onions, favorite, all on sourdough pizza crust. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I try to do live cooking shows every single day, kind of show you what we're making for our family and hopefully teach you guys something along the way. Again, we do upload all of our videos to the link on our page. So if you ever want to recreate any of these recipes at home, you can. You just go to that link, search for what we made, and you can watch and cook along with me again. We also have a link to our Amazon storefront that has all of our different cooking gear and gadgets in it. So if you're interested, you can definitely check that out. But again, thank you guys so much for joining us here. Don't forget to like and subscribe.